All right, $9.6 trillion. It can't be many things. It's the national debt.
It is.
The amount of money the U.S. owes its creditors around the world. And just to put that in perspective, if we've all got together and tried to pay that off, each American would have to shell out more than $31,000. And that's not the bad part.
I think that means your kids, too. Your kids, your babies, your grandkids. The numbers are climbing. Whoever wins the presidential election in November will be faced with this challenge of dealing with the growing national debt and all kinds of other deficits that we love to run in this country. Poppy Harlow from CNNMoney.com joins us here with more. It is a big number, and a few years ago we thought that number was more palatable in the 5 range, and now it's back up to $9.6 trillion and rising.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a big question in this race for the White House. Both candidates offering their so-called solutions to exactly what is going on for the economy. I recently sat down with David Walker, former Comptroller General of the U.S. I asked him what issues the candidates need to focus on, and if McCain and Obama are laying out viable plans for our economy.
First, the short-term economy. What can we do to minimize the possibility we're going to have a recession, to stimulate growth so that the short term we can have some pain? What are we going to do about energy prices? What are we going to do about health care costs, et cetera? But we also have another problem, which quite frankly is much, much bigger. This country is in a $53 trillion financial hole. It grows by $2 to $3 trillion a year. We need to start doing something about it. And they have little plans with regard to that.
Let's talk about the national debt, because I think a lot of people say, well, you know what, this is getting passed on to my kids. Why can't my kids just pass it on to their kids? I mean, for me, for my family, why do I care right now so much? Why do I want my next president to change this? What does it mean, practically speaking?
It means that our future economic growth, our future international position, our future standard of living, and even potentially our new future national security is at risk. That's what it means, and people ought to care about those things.
Yeah, they ought to care, and I bet they do care. But talk to us about what the next president needs to do immediately in those first 100 days, that first year in office, to try to decrease that debt, take it down from where we are now.
Well, the first thing they need to do is to acknowledge now, both candidates, that we're in a $53 trillion hole, that they will try to make it a priority to deal with it over a number of years. Secondly, we need a capable, credible, and bipartisan commission to make recommendations to the next president, the next Congress, for an up or down vote in the Congress for statutory budget control, Social Security reform, round 1 of tax reform, and round 1 of health care reform. We can make a $15 trillion down payment if we go about it the right way.
Now, let's say the next president doesn't tackle these issues like you'd like to see him and his VP do. What changes do you suggest then? What does Congress do?
Well, the Congress ultimately is responsible for the budget. I mean, you know, they're the ones that have the fiscal purse, if you will, and Congress, frankly, hasn't been helping lately. Since the budget controls expired in 2002, Washington's been totally out of control. It's been tax cuts, spending increases, entitlement expansions, unfunded wars, and a variety of other things. So Congress bears a responsibility as well. We need the congressional leadership to move towards more spending discipline and to move towards making this commission a reality.
You know, and finally, energy policy obviously weighs in here as well, spending about $700 billion a year on oil from other countries. You know, a lot of people say, hey, the U.S. borrowing from China to buy oil from Saudi Arabia.
To fight in Iraq.
So there you go, taking it one step further. How does changing our current energy policy in this country help us with the deficit?
Oh, it does. It helps us with regard to our trade deficit. It helps us with regard to our balance of payments deficit. It helps us with regard to our budget deficit. It helps to, you know, to improve our economy. It helps to be able to enhance our international posture, strengthen our national security. Lots of ways. But, you know, one of the things we have to do is we have to conserve. We consume too much in this country, including of energy.
All right, so what candidate can help us do just that? Of course, I asked David Walker which candidate he supports, who he thinks would be best for the job. He said he's nonpartisan and that he has not endorsed either McCain or Obama. Of course, he was comptroller under both Clinton and Bush from 98 to 2008.
Let me just tell you, let's just speak frankly here as if we weren't on TV. Can't imagine a more boring topic than talking to the former Comptroller General of the United States about the national debt. But it's a crucially important topic.
He is, and he makes it, he tells you, he boils it down like this. It's like Rome before the fall.
Right.
All of these things the United States does not have control of is like Rome before the fall. And that's something we should all take a look at, especially our policymakers, because they're in a position now to prevent a lot of this stuff from just running crazy.
Well, he talks about this $53 trillion. We said that the debt is $9.6 billion.
$53
and then he talks about
trillion.
How do you get from 9.6 to 53? What's he talking about that gets us all that way up there?
It's what we've already spent. and it's what we've promised to spend, including Social Security, health care benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, all that kind of stuff. It's all of what we've spent that we haven't paid for, and all of our promises that we can't afford to pay for makes up $53 trillion.
It's sort of an unimaginable number, and he really does put the onus not only on the two candidates, but also on Congress. And I asked him, that's why I asked him the question, saying, okay, why do I care? If I'm about to go into retirement and, why do I have to care about this? It won't get fixed in my lifetime, possibly. But he said, it matters. This is what you're passing down to your kids and your kids' kids. And this is also about our reputation as a country in the world in general, how people view us and not just what you yourself have to deal with.
It's a country that's acting like somebody who's spending out of control on their credit cards.
But listen, there are people who say it doesn't matter, simply doesn't matter, and that what matters is getting reelected every 2 years and reelected every 4 years, and that what really matters is that this is a dynamic economy that can very quickly change, that the formula can somehow change so we don't have to worry about those deficits. There are people who say that, and that is a philosophy that I think people who are running for office can very easily rationalize.
I've been known to overspend a little in my time on the understanding that my income will probably improve, and I'll pay that later. But the point is, you can't do that as a government.
Well, and if we look at incomes since 2000, real income hasn't even gotten any better.
And your bankers
so
at some point are not going to let you do it anymore.
My bankers are not going to let me do it. And our bankers now are other countries.
Other countries who have their own national agendas and identities, and that's why the national security.
Check out that movie if you get a chance.
IOUSA. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, he's in the movie, and it's all about that. Okay, we have to stop talking about this.
Okay, stop talking about it. It's gloom and doom.
Yeah.
Hairless prophet of doom, angel of darkness, bad stuff.
Stop talking about this.
Okay, stop talking about it. It's gloom and doom.
Yeah.
Hairless prophet of doom, angel of darkness, bad stuff.